Yeah.
Hi, I'm Adrian Hazaras.
And I'm Lizzie Moore. Welcome to our fifth and final episode of The Hive.
Today, we'll talk to Mr. Wilson.
We'll speak with 6 students about their online experience.
And we'll spice things up with Never Have I Ever Online School Edition.
All this coming up next on the season finale of The Hive.
But first, do you remember when we pranked Miss Pena this year?
I do.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, a few months ago, a bunch of people coordinated to tell Miss Pena that her mic was muted, and it actually wasn't. Livy, did you realize what was going on?
No, I did not. I was really confused in the beginning, but
Yeah, same here. I thought everyone's audio had glitched out, and it turns out I just didn't see the message.
yeah. But your reaction was just confused.
I was just so surprised, and I was like, "Oh, I get it now."
Yeah.
But it was a really good prank because it actually pranked like the whole class, not just Miss Pena.
Yeah. A bunch of people were very confused about it.
Anyways, we sent Naaman Mishra to interview Keeling's new principal this year, Mr. Wilson.
All right, so thank you for joining us. So I have a few questions for you. What made you want to become principal during the pandemic?
Thank you so much for this interview opportunity, first off. So Naaman, we hadn't had a chance to meet each other yet, but one of my big things is I like to give people hope. I like to change the way people feel. I want everyone to feel great and positive about whatever it is that they're doing. I hope that I can always kind of give that to the world. That's one of my things. But I also know that with schools, leadership is necessary as well. And so you want to make sure that that you're leading people in the right direction. And so I felt like in the pandemic, it was a great time that people needed hope. People also needed leadership and direction. And so the opportunity presented itself. I saw Keeling Middle School available. So I applied and I went through the interview process. And it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I'm super happy to be here. And this is such a great school community.
Yeah, so since most students aren't coming into the school, like you said, only like about 250 students are actually in the school. So you obviously can't have classes normally with like a teacher standing at a blackboard looking at all the students. So what are some changes that you've had to make to the way the school works because there's a pandemic going on?
I think that, in all honesty, I think that the job became a lot harder for teachers. Like, I want to acknowledge that because they're teaching students, like, it's like their jobs became twice as hard, to be honest, because they have students in the classroom, but then they also have students at home. So that's already double the workload, right? But I believe that that was probably one of the best things that came as a result of this whole pandemic was that it forced us to utilize technology a whole lot more. And so now I feel like these teachers that have gone through this process are going to be like some of the best equipped teachers in the world. I mean, well, I guess the whole world is doing it, right? So we're going to be education education itself has changed forever because I think, like you said, a teacher standing at the blackboard or whatever, you won't get to see that as much anymore because teachers can work virtually now. And so I think that it's given us more understanding that, we can use all these different things that are out here for us to make our instruction more impactful. And so I just believe that, what is the thing that we use here? We have Zoom for the classes, but we also have, I'm trying to think of it, Nearpod. I don't know if you've had a Nearpod in your class yet, but it's interactive PowerPoints. And so I think like just tools like that we didn't have before. Before it was just a PowerPoint presentation. Now you get to put your input on that PowerPoint as we're going through it. And so it's much more collaborative. Through Zoom, you've got breakout rooms that you can utilize. So it's just like being in the classroom and being in groups and doing all these different things, except it's just in a different way.
All right, so obviously there's been a lot of challenges with being virtual, not just technology challenges, but sometimes kids just don't, being in class is kind of boring. Sitting in a Zoom meeting is very different from just being in an actual environment. So I want to end on a positive note because we've talked about a lot of problems that there are. What are some benefits of being a principal during a pandemic?
Oh man, you know what? I will tell you the main benefit that I get from being a principal in the pandemic is that I think that just about everything that could be thrown at me has already been thrown at me, and so I think that it just prepares me to be a much better leader in the future. Because navigating through this terrain, because nobody really knows what's going to happen. Like even at this moment, I don't know if we'll have virtual school in the fall. Like I don't know if we'll have remote learning and on-campus learning. I don't know how many kids will be coming back. So that sense of uncertainty, it makes you plan more, and it makes you think about the different systems that it takes, and it makes you think about where do I need to grow as a leader this summer. And so for me, it's learning more about you doing using technology to facilitate education. And so that is that's like probably the best thing that's happened to me. And plus, in the pandemic and being a new principal to a school, you will make some mistakes. And so I think that since it is a pandemic, then people are more likely to give you some grace. Like it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're late on this deadline, or maybe you didn't do this correctly, but we know you have a lot going on, so we'll give you this grace. And so I think that that's probably the best thing that's happened to help me to transition while transitioning to a whole new city. So yeah, so I really appreciate that question. Thank you for asking.
All right. Well, it sounds like it's been kind of a mixed bag, but overall, would you say the pandemic has been helpful to you as a principal, not overall to the world or to the school, but to you as a principal? Do you think the pandemic has been helpful to you? Maybe like trained you to be better?
Yeah, and I just think that any situations that we encounter in life, we choose to take what's good and what's bad from it, right? So even if it was all bad, just the fact that I had the opportunity to be a principal would be a big deal to me, because this is something that I've been working towards my whole career. So just that opportunity itself would make this a great opportunity for me and a great time. So definitely, I think that it's been a great thing for me in a sense of professional wise. Definitely, I hate all that it's caused worldwide, and just different families that have been impacted from it in a different way. But there are some good things that we can take from this, and like you said, it can help me to prepare to be a better leader and the best principal that I could possibly be.
All right. Well, thank you for joining today for the interview. I can't tell you how surprised I was when you actually said yes, because we thought you'd be too busy or I'm not sure. I don't know. So thank you so much for joining us.
So welcome to today's Hive Mind. So today we're going to be playing Never Have I Ever Online School Edition. So we have Anne, Naaman, Livy, and Adrian playing today. And yeah, so I'm going to ask a few questions. And if you've ever done it, then say I've done it. If you haven't, say I haven't done it. And you can also use the reactions to express. Okay. Never have I ever fractured, broke, or anything in that category while in middle school.
I did. This summer of 2019, I think, me and my brother got in a fight, and he punched me, and I broke my hand. So, yeah.
Never have I ever watched YouTube, social media while in the middle of class. Okay, Adrian, Naaman,
I think everyone's done this.
and what about
I think a
Libby?
lot of people have done this.
Okay, Libby's done it. We all have done it. As it's been a year already. I mean, I would have assumed everyone would have done it by now. Okay. Never have I ever said something on accident while unmuted.
I did. It was, I think, October. I was in English and my foot fell asleep because I had this like thing that I would rest my foot on, and I didn't know that my mic was unmuted. So everyone heard me say, "Wow, my foot's asleep," and I got really embarrassed because they were
Hey,
like, "What?"
yeah, so in my culinary arts class, this was really embarrassing. But basically, my teacher brings us in unmuted all the time. So this has happened with like a few other people. But so basically, my mom was in the room, and then when she left, I started singing because there was like this song stuck in my head, and I was like singing like really, really loud. And I was singing because everyone in the class was like unmuting and being like, you're unmuted, you're unmuted. So my teacher had to automatically mute me, and I didn't really notice until like she did. So my whole culinary arts class heard me singing.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, you have a choir shirt on, no wonder. Okay. Never have I ever realized that my video was on when I really didn't want to keep it on. Oh.
Yeah.
It isn't.
Again in English, I was sitting there on my phone, and I was sitting there on my phone, and my English, I don't think she didn't say anything to me. I looked up and I saw that my camera was on, and I was like,
Did I get caught in this so many times?
yeah.
No, I never got caught, but I have a friend who did, and he actually exposed himself doing this.
Mine was really like short. So basically, I was going into music production class and I was like playing some video game. And so, like, while I was in the waiting room, and so then the prompt comes up, would you like to turn your video on? And I guess I was like trying to click something because I automatically clicked turn on video. And so as I was connecting, like, I put my hand over my webcam and it looked really dumb, but like it wasn't as bad as Livy's.
Oh. Okay, well, good. Thank you for exposing yourself, and that's gonna conclude today's Hive Mind. So I hope you all enjoyed it.
Hi, I'm Maya Linville, and I'm an 8th grader at Keeling Middle School.
Hello, I am Isadora Ling, and I'm a 7th grader, magnet student.
Hello, I am Eyal Rosenberg. I am a 6th grade magnet student.
Hi, I'm Avery Bender, and I am a 6th grade academy student.
Honestly, there's quite a lot of similarities. Most teachers still had Zoom calls every class period, not all of them. So I definitely appreciate having Zooms for every single class that I have this year, because that way I can see the teacher and everybody else. This year I'd say the assignments are a lot more organized, but I mean, last year and this year, the teachers did a really good job of putting it together, so it was not super difficult for the kids to continue learning online.
Well, last March, let me see, that was right as we had gotten some of the first cases in Austin for COVID, and it was not good at all, and I don't want to be rude or anything, but the classes, there were barely any Zoom sessions. I do remember some, like, I don't know what program they were using, but it wasn't Zoom, but my science classes were like virtually, but it was all structured a lot differently in a way where there wasn't any work to do. It was kind of, some classes had not, like PE, there was nothing to do for it except like optional exercises. So it wasn't really as interesting as it is now, where we are fully online and there's homework assignments. And for PE, we'll use the class as an example. We do the exercises and like fill out health lessons and everything. So yeah.
It was weird. It was weird. I still have no idea how the school looks pretty much, other than my one time shadowing there and the couple times I went for certain like events. It's odd. It's just overall weird. It's very, very weird.
Yeah, I agree. It was just really awkward because it's like in fifth grade when we were doing Zoom, like at the end of the year, we only had like one Zoom class, but now we have one every day and multiple every day. And it's a lot more work and they're longer classes. So it took a little while getting used to, but now that we're this far in the school year, it's gotten easier.
I think that's an interesting question. So right now I have some family members who are in sixth grade and they're having trouble like making friends over Zoom because it's just hard to talk to people when you're not face to face. It's hard to meet people. So honestly, maybe sixth grade because you don't already have those connections. I know as an eighth grader, I already know quite a few people. I already knew a lot of people in my classes, and that definitely made it easier to continue learning over Zoom.
I'm going to take a little different side of this story. The teachers have had it worse. No, I mean, yes, they're not a grade, but they have had a lot of work during online school. So all of us kids are like, oh, this is horrible. But the teachers have had to restructure their agendas. The teachers have had to figure out how to navigate through Zoom. And the teachers have had to figure out the right amount of homework for each grade. But if I had to choose a grade, I would probably say eighth graders because this is their last. Okay, sixth graders, because they don't know what the actual school is. So maybe a lot of people are getting a bad reputation of Keeling, being like, oh, this isn't what I thought. But it's like, you don't know what you thought, like, because you haven't been here yet, you know? But for seventh graders, I think they've had it the least because they've been in person and they've been online. And hopefully next year they'll be in person again. And last year, I thought that the eighth graders had it worse because, like, especially for theater, there was like fun trips, end of year things, a celebration for the eighth graders graduating, and they never got that because of the shutdowns. So I was going to say the eighth graders had it worse, but I don't know anymore.
Well, I obviously don't know how the other grades are going, but I don't think it is the sixth graders, primarily because I have felt that I don't know how it's going with you with the seventh and eighth graders, but since they've been there in seventh and eighth, they've already been at Keeling. I would be guessing that the teachers are definitely not as reluctant to give them a very minimal, like a lot less homework and a lot less work, because they know from previous that they've been here for a year, they can probably handle it even if they're out of Zoom. But in sixth grade, I know personally I've had like zero homework. If I've had any, I finish it in class. And it's been a very, very calm, like there hasn't been much going on for me.
I think the sixth graders have it worse because like we're new to middle school and we don't like it's a lot more work than elementary school, and like they're new teachers, we've never met them before, different people that we've never met before. Just it's a big change from elementary school and we haven't gotten used to that yet, unlike the seventh and eighth graders. So I think it's hard for the sixth graders.
That's all we have for this episode of The Hive.
It's also the last episode of the Hive Season 1.
We heard from Mr. Wilson about his experience this year.
We invited 6 students of different grades, genders, and programs to share their experiences over the pandemic.
And we learned some secrets about the Hive staff.
We'll see you next year on The Hive.
Actually, I won't because I'm going to 9th grade.
I had a dream that someday I would just fly away. And I always knew I couldn't stay. So I had a dream that I'd just fly away, away.